Folks, we need to talk about Tucker Carlson. And first of all, this is going to be kind of a serious video. As of lately, and by the way, hi there, folks. This is Javier Blog 208 coming to you live. My usual introduction. I'm not as in cheerful of a mood tonight, but we're going to talk about that. And I just felt this, I don't know if I was entirely prepared to do this video, but I guess I'm just kind of like working with what I got. But we do need to discuss, honestly, Tucker Carlson tonight. And I'm trying to figure out where to begin on this, because he's been on as of lately, he's been on a very homophobic crusade, if you will. And it's quite scary, honestly. In all reality, it's quite scary because I'm aware that he has a lot of followers. He's followed by a lot of young people, a lot of, young men lost in their lives and not really knowing where to go, turning to these horrible right-wing podcasters, if you will. Charlie Kirk was not he was not the only one, he was, they followed Charlie Kirk, they followed Tucker Carlson, they follow Tim Pool, they follow Andrew Tate, one of the worst, by the way. They followed Jordan Peterson, they followed Joe Rogan. There's a whole long list of them. And obviously, R.I.P. Charlie Kirk is deceased. Rest in peace. Not the topic today. And in my opinion, Tucker Carlson, and this is probably going to be one of the nicest things I'm going to say about Charlie Kirk. Tucker Carlson would not hold a candlelight to Charlie Kirk. Like Charlie Kirk is, as much as I've, if you will, talked about him in a negative light in the past. There's people out there that make Charlie Kirk look. There's people out there that make Charlie Kirk look good, make him look like a saint in comparison. And Tucker Carlson is one of them. Tucker Carlson, sadly, is one of them. So, as we know, he started his little, I guess, if you will, homophobic crusade some days ago, or about a week ago, or whatever, maybe at the beginning of this month, with an interview with Piers Morgan, where he was trying to, well, first of all, he went on like an 8-minute rant about gay people. And it was interesting how Piers Morgan was the good guy in this interview. He was the one sticking up for gay people in this interview. He was the one sticking up for, just people in general in this interview. And in this interview, Tucker Carlson was trying to encourage Piers Morgan to use the word F-A-G-G-O-T, which I think is an awful word and a horrible word. It's a word that's on the same equivalence, in my opinion, as the N-word. Those words, we obviously have freedom of speech in society. We obviously have, the right to say whatever we want in society. Freedom of speech is protected by the U.S. Constitution. So we can't punish people for using the F word or the N word or any kind of slur. Granted. But at the same time, these words in society, they target entire communities of people, whether it's black people or gay people, etc. They should be shamed. They should be shamed in society. That's just the truth. And these words should be darn near eradicated in society, because we have to move past, I've said this many times in the past, we have to move past racism and homophobia. Those are the two things that this society needs to move past. We need to move past transphobia too, but that's a different subject because I know that one's more complex, but for another video. Like I said in the beginning of this video, Tucker Carlson is followed by tons of young people, tons of young men who follow all kinds of right-wing influencers, particularly Gen Z men, who are broken in their lives, lost, and trying to figure out their lives, which is sad. It's very sad. And these are people, being that I'm one of them, even though I barely made it out of the Gen Z generation, I'm technically still a millennial, technically. Um, I relate. I see and know and understand, and I think we need to further talk about in more broadcasts these young men's struggles. But when you have right wing podcasters continuously influencing these young men to be emboldened, hateful, just flat out mean, nasty, in the name of masculinity, which is not masculinity. Masculinity is not that at all. It's not. It's not being mean or hateful or emboldened or angry, And the reality of the truth is, podcasters like Tucker Carlson, especially Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, yes, Charlie Kirk too, just being honest, maybe, yeah, Charlie Kirk too. But people like Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, Andrew Tate, Jordan Peterson, people like these what they're doing, and I'm going to touch on this very briefly before we start talking about the actual topic of what they're doing is they're appealing to these young men's anger, if you will. And they're trying to turn young men into political pawns for their so-called movement, for their so-called, for their so-called right-wing movement. Ultimate goal to implement, in my opinion, ultimate goal to move America as right-wing as possible and implement Christian nationalism on America. But that's another topic. That's another topic, not the purpose of this video. So when you have Tucker Carlson on Piers Morgan going on a rant about gay people, and a portion of these young men are gay, we have to realize the fact that a portion of these young men are gay who watch them. And we have to realize the fact that the continuous attack on the LGBT community is very dangerous, because it wasn't too long ago. In fact, in my lifetime, I remember, way when I was younger, this is before I went through my homophobic stage and all that stuff. This is way when I was younger. I remember hearing about gay teen suicides on the rise and all that stuff. And then it was trans suicides. And we need to move past the bully rhetoric altogether. We don't want to go backwards. We don't. We want people to feel comfortable being themselves, coming out and being who they are, being accepted by their friends and family as who they are. We want that. I want that for society. I want to advance society to a point where homophobia is a thing of the past, eradicated. And unfortunately, we have people, particularly Tucker Carlson, but others too, who want to take us backwards. And when he's on a podcast, being watched by young men all across the country, which is very sad, trying to encourage the word faggot, a part of my language, I didn't mean to actually say that word. That came out. I apologize for saying that. Trying to encourage the F word. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. And it really, any sensible and good-hearted person should want to condemn that. This is the clip that I'm going to play to you. And by the way, we have a little more to talk about after this. Because this was just the beginning. First he did this. And then he went on a rant about gay people with Piers Morgan. And then he interviewed this guy, I don't even know, Milo, whatever the hell his name is, some British guy, claims to be ex-gay, as like a spokesman for gay people, if you will. He interviewed this Milo British guy who claims to be ex-gay as like a spokesman for gay people. And obviously, and after listening to this guy talk, and I listened to that interview. I'm not going to be talking until I actually hear what they have to say. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. I listened to that interview with Milo, whatever his name is, and the guy is deeply disturbed. The guy is deeply, deeply disturbed. He seems lonely, miserable. There were points that I've heard him talk about in the past. I've done some research where he claims that if he's on a plane and he sees a cute guy or whatever, he's going to go and masturbate in the bathroom. And in so many ways, he has a sex addiction. This dude has a sex addiction. And what he's doing is he's blaming it on his sexuality. And Tucker Carlson purposely brings him on as the so-called spokesman for gays. And at the end of the day, that's what he wanted. That was his whole agenda, was because his agenda was to kind of shine it in a bad light, if you will. So he's going to bring on people that are going to say, nobody's really gay. He's going to bring on people that are going to say, you know, things like that gay people all have trauma in their lives and all this stuff. Or they've all been victims of rape or sexual abuse or whatever the hell it is. And that's what he did. Tucker Carlson brought on somebody that spoke that way, if you will. It's very unfortunate and disturbing, but that's just what it was. You know, he brought on a guy that wanted to confirm his beliefs, that the so-called spokesman to confirm his beliefs that everybody who's gay is just a product of trauma or a product of sexual abuse or a product of, you know, this or that or demonic activity, whatever the hell it is, you know, whatever he's saying, you know, it's like, and trying to diminish the fact that gay people are just that way, that the fact that gay people, you know, fall in love like everybody else. Fall in love, you know, just like a straight guy likes a woman, a gay guy will fall in love with another gay guy. And sometimes they will develop into a happy, lifelong relationship. And that's what it is. Attraction is attraction. Puberty is puberty. Crushes are crushes. Love is love. Heartbreaks are heartbreaks. That's just the truth. And so this is the clip I was going to play for Tucker Carlson, and we're going to discuss it.
Would you say the word faggot on camera?
No.
Why?
Because
You don't want to get arrested, do you?
doesn't want to be arrested.
Because it's so harmful to people?
No,
Is it like gay bashing? What's wrong with that?
Would you use that word?
Faggot?
Yeah.
I just did.
But would you
Faggot,
use
faggot, faggot.
Okay, but why?
And I'm using it because you're not allowed to, because you're...
I'm allowed to.
Go ahead.
I don't want to.
Say, I love gay people. Faggot.
I'm allowed to. I just choose not to.
Because it's so harmful to people?
No,
Is it like gay bashing? What's wrong with that?
Would you use that word?
Faggot?
Yeah.
I just did.
But would you
Faggot,
use
faggot, faggot.
Okay, but why?
And I'm using it because you're not allowed to, because you're...
I'm allowed to.
Go ahead.
I don't want to.
Say, I love gay people. Faggot.
I'm allowed to. I just choose not to.
Because it's so harmful to people?
No,
Is it like gay bashing? What's wrong with that?
Would you use that word?
Faggot?
Yeah.
I just did.
But would you use...
All right, I think I think this clip I have here played it over and over again, but you kind of get my point. So there's just a lot wrong, you know, with this. And by Tucker Carlson doing this, he's influencing his followers to do this, young people. He's opening up a can of worms of hate in this country that hasn't even been, that was on its way to being eradicated. He is, and I've looked at the comment sections of the things that he was being said. You know, I've looked at the comment sections, and there's so much hate. There is so much hate in those comment sections saying, oh, look at that. Being gay was all wrong and they're all lying. It's demonic. All this hateful stuff against people, against something that is real, against something that's found in nature, against something that, you know, literally people exist as, you know, that is a minority of the population. And once again, a marginalized community that needs to be stood up for and needs to be defended, you know? And if Tucker Carlson, like he claimed, was actually curious about the topic of gay people, of homosexuality, he would have interviewed somebody who was actually like that. He had that chance, honestly, with George Santos, honestly, in my opinion. But he honestly just doesn't seem to care. His whole goal there is to push what he believes about this issue. Believing that and it's true that some of them are products of trauma. Some of them are, you know, products, you know, some of them have been sexually molested in the past, but there are many that have not. Many have had both parents growing up, Many have never been sexually molested or products of trauma or any of that. And I know that for a fact. They just come out the way they are. They develop puberty at a certain age. They have crushes. They develop attractions. Sometimes they'll fall in love. Sometimes they'll get their heart broken. Sometimes they'll find that person that they're going to be with the rest of their lives. And we need to stand up for people like now more than ever these days. Especially with what's going on, I want to play a few clips from this Milo guy. I was trying to like figure out some clips to play, but let's see. Let's just.
Okay, I have to be honest with you, I bear some responsibility for this because it was me 10 years ago mainstreaming homosexuality into the Republican Party is a great regret of my life.
It wasn't.
More so than anything I've done to my own soul, which is a lot. It's a great regret of my life because it has given rise to horrors I never imagined. I mean, Lenin said, all revolutionaries come to hate their children. Well,
You're not a revolutionary.
the gay horrors that I've given birth to, Lady Margaret and Nick Fuentes, keep me up at night. They keep me up at night.
Nick Fuentes.
So
That was
you'll
funny.
notice throughout this interview, Milo's right eye, anytime he looks at Tucker, he can't open his right eye, seemingly, which, I don't know. Okay, we're going to get to the whole, just stick with me, the whole chronological series of events here, but I'm just giving you a couple.
But I want to begin by asking
Icky, isn't it? Icky.
well, sort of impersonal, but it's occurred to me, particularly when I have interviewed Republican politicians, particularly neocons over the years.
Homosexuality comes
I've always wanted to say in a Ugandan accent, "Are you gay?"
All right, we don't need to play the whole thing because that'd be. You know what? Actually, I'll tell you what I'm probably gonna do. I'm gonna break down. I'm gonna play these clips from Tucker Carlson in a separate video, and I'm gonna break these down piece by piece and debunk these so-called claims that are coming out of this Milo guy. But at the same time, I want to just address that Milo is a deeply disturbed person, and he obviously has struggled with a sex addiction in his past. Something that many gay people have not dealt with. Yeah, granted, a lot of gay people have, a lot of straight people have. But he has struggled with a deep, deep, deep sex addiction in his past, which is probably why, he's trying to be celibate and all that, blaming it on his sexuality. Hasn't really experienced a true, genuine, loving relationship, which is sad. I feel like listening to this whole, I actually want to do something here. I'm sorry for kind of being here too long, but I actually want to encourage you guys to listen to this interview. And I don't care for Tucker Carlson. I think he's a horrible, horrible, horrible human being who makes Charlie Kirk look like a saint. Like Tucker Carlson makes Charlie Kirk look like a saint. But Charlie Kirk would never be encouraging the F word. Like, granted, Charlie Kirk would never be doing that. But I want you to listen to the interview and listen to the way Milo speaks, okay? And just recognize and see how disturbed of an individual he actually is. Which is actually, you're going to see that he is this very, very sex addict individual in his past who is just suppressing himself, not giving himself the chance to experience actual love, and blaming it on his sexuality. And Tucker Carlson obviously had him on for this exact reason. He had him on. So I'll leave it at that. And Tucker Carlson also went on a rant about gay people on Piers Morgan. And a lot of those claims can be debunked. No, those claims can be debunked too. Like, just summing up once again, gays are products of trauma and pornography and, sexual abuse and all that. And though that may be true for a portion of them, not saying that's what made them gay, but that may be the case for a portion of them, that is just not the case for the majority of people who are like that, We need to be a more loving and accepting society. That's just what it is. We need to be better at this. We need to move past homophobia in society. So in the future, I plan to do a video breaking down Tucker Carlson and Milo's anti-gay arguments piece by piece. Thank you. I'll probably do one for Piers Morgan too, but thank you. That's all for tonight. Well, maybe not all for tonight, because I may move further and make another video later tonight, but that's all for now. Take care. Good night. Good day.